Vande Mataram. Dear friends, in Karnataka, monolith Gomateshwara is the tallest statue we have in India. It is a Jain monument, Jain temple. Gomateshwara is actually Bahubali, the son of Rishabhanatha, Adinatha. Adinatha had 100 sons, of course, but he had two elder sons by two wives, Bharata and Bahubali. Adinatha did not know whom to give the kingdom. So he said he will have a testing for both. Bahubali won everything, whether it is a wisdom or in a mightiness or a warrior warfare, every aspect Bahubali has won. But he didn't want to become king. He wanted to have vision. He wanted to have enlightenment. So he told the father, I don't want, give it to Bharata. And he went into the forest. And he stood there. Everybody will sit and do the penance, but Bahubali stood in the forest, naked. There was rain, there were snakes going up, the creepers were falling, the ant hills were made on him, but he did not move and he was doing penance. Then he had enlightenment. The queen of Shravanabeлагola, she had a dream that she has seen. She is the actually mother of, and she had a dream saying that she has built a temple for Bahubali. He became Gomateshwara, so she has built it. Then she got up and she told the son, I have to build this temple. Then they both started going and they were searching for two mountains. They found the mountain near Shravanabeлагola, and then she said, this is the mountain which you have to carve it. And they carved as one piece and a creeper going on Gomateshwara. There Gomateshwara is standing in Shravanabeлагola. Again I have seen as a teenager, and then I took my children and showed them to see Shravanabeлагola. You have to go a little up and then you will visit. It is so enchanting. And I have an experience when I went as a teenager, as I was taking coconut in every temple, I took a coconut even in this temple. I went there. Seeing me, the pujari called me inside and he said, you do the puja to Gomateshwara. Usually we all don't touch the gods. But I had that opportunity where I went and did puja to the feet of Gomateshwara, and I had his blessings. So please go and visit. Thank you. Namaste. Vande Mataram. Dear friends, we find different kind of architecture in our country. One side you find Islamic architecture, another side you find Hindu architecture, some other side you find Buddhist architecture, Jain architecture, and European architecture, Indo-Islamic architecture, and also devotional architecture. Why I call a devotional architecture? The Jain temples of Palitana has a devotional architecture. It doesn't follow a particular style, they follow a local style, but it is a devotional architecture. It is built somewhere in the 11th and 12th century, and then again 17th and 18th century. There are hubs of temples everywhere, cluster of temples. The whole village or whole town is full of cluster of temples. You have a big temple and then small temples. Each temple has walls decorated, painted, and not using more of marble. They have used a white crystal which helps you purifying the air. Large halls and entrances sculptured, dragons sculptured. So according to the deity inside, they have again small arches or big arches, small deities again. They have a beautiful temples both for Adinatha. Adinatha temples are famous all over India, and here too Adinatha temple is a very famous. They have followed, of course, the North Indian style, and also Vastu Shastra has been kept in mind completely. There are major and minor temples, and depending on the deities, and the temples of all may not be beautifully done, but they are devotionally done. They are very impressive. So you find this, all the temples have the 5 dome topped squares, saying that Jains always want that 5 hills, sacred hills they represent. Please visit Palitana temples, which are a devotional structure, devotional architecture they say, and every Jain go there and visit the temples. And in India, it's not like Jains or Hindus or Muslims or Christians or Buddhists. If it is a place of worship, it is a place of worship for everybody. And it's a great monument. The monumental structures need to be seen by everybody. So please visit Palitana temples. See, go through the small and big temples. Jainism preaches ahimsa. And they have like 3 rights. They call it as 3 jewels. Right speech, right action, and right thought. These 3 jewels you find in Palitana. People go there, they always maintain that right speech, right thought, and right action. Let us go there and observe and understand the 3 jewels of Jainism. Thank you. Namaste. Jai. Vande Mataram. Dear friends, Muslims ruled us for many years. The first ever Muslim structure, a monument made in India, is Qutub Minar. Qutub Minar was built by Aibak, Qutbuddin Aibak. It is a symbol of victory of Muslims over India and to show the supremacy of Muslims in Delhi rule. Qutub Minar has been built. It was built by Aibak, the only first story. Later on, the others have added the stories of. It's a long building, tall building of 72.5 meters height. When you go there to Qutub Minar complex, you find a mosque there. And that was the first mosque built in India. So, the first monument and the first mosque you will find if you go to Qutub Minar. Qutub Minar complex has many tombs of the various kings too. The whole of Qutub Minar has been built on the place where Tomars and Johans actually ruled. They have just smashed it and they have built Qutub Minar there as their supremacy and as a victory sign. They say that they have used from 27 Jain and Hindu temples the material, they brought it and they have built the mosque there. So it is an amalgamation of Hindus, Jains and Islam. The mosque stands, the first mosque has been so secular mosque it is. And you find the tombs of so many people. Qutub Minar today identifies itself with not only India but the Delhi as such. The moment if anybody thinks of Delhi, they'll think of Qutub Minar. And it is identified. The monument is so nicely got into the city's life. They say that from the medieval period, Delhi has been reconstructed 7 times. 7 cities have come, and today's Delhi is the amalgamation of all the 7 cities. Qutub Minar is the testimony of mixing it up, turning it up and coming out with a new splendor. So that stays as a sign for every Indian, as it has the most important aspect of victory. So let us go and see that victory symbol. Today we identify every monument with Indian culture and heritage. So it is our heritage monument, the first ever monument built by Muslims and first ever mosque we will find there. Thank you. Namaste. Jai. Vande Mataram. The symbol of Indian independence is Red Fort in Delhi. Red Fort in Delhi has been built by Shah Jahan in 1636, and he wanted to shift his capital from Lahore to Delhi. So he has built a big red fort with a red stone, has 2 main gates. One is called Lahore Gate and another one is called Delhi Gate. The Lahore Gate faces Lahore. But unfortunately, Shah Jahan did not come to this fort and rule, because he was imprisoned by his own son Aurangzeb and kept him in Agra, and where he died. But this was used by the next generation kings. Here, the Red Fort, you see almost all the things what we find in Agra Fort. We have a Khas Mahal, we have for public, for VIP lounge, and we also have a big shopping center there. In those days, people used to sell silks, diamonds and gold jewelry there, and it was called as Meena Bazaar. All the VIPs, all the royal families used to go there and buy. For them it was a Meena Bazaar there. Today also you find the shops there. If you go, walk into it. I have gone into Red Fort many times. I walked in, I've seen Diwan-e-Khas, Diwan-e-Am, Khas Mahal. All these are beautifully carved. Of course, many of the things have been losing it, or because of so many battles, because that Red Fort was a place of battle, like a preparation for battles, for soldiers. Mughal soldiers used to stay there, and for them it was a preparation ground. A lot of fights have been taken place. So it lost some of the things, but still, after independence, it has been guarded as a best monument in India and worthy monument, and it is in the vast place. So don't forget to go and see Red Fort. Shah Jahan is a king who loves, who has a not only sense of just love, but he has an eye for art and architecture. See the Taj Mahal, see Red Fort, so many things he has built. Maximum buildings have been built by Akbar and then Shah Jahan. Beautiful Red Fort. If you just stand itself, you will find. After independence, the first ever independence speech has been given by Jawaharlal Nehru in Red Fort. Even today, the Prime Minister addresses the public, whole of India, on Independence Day from Red Fort. Our flag was hoisted there on 15th August 1947. It's a magnificent, marvelous, amazing monument, and we all should proudly enter. It's the pride of India, and we have to enter into and see each of the things and understand and have the feeling. Any monument when we go and see, we should visualize ourselves getting to that century, feel that, then only you will like it. Please visit Red Fort. Thank you. Namaste. Jai. Vande Mataram. Dear friends, in Andhra, in Warangal, you find a beautiful temple built during the time of Kakatiyas, during the time of Raja Ganpati Deva. The temple has a beautiful hall, Rangamandapam, as they say, where they can dance, and carving. The fine part of this temple and the amazing part of this temple is the whole temple has been sculpted from down to up. Everything has been sculpted. It is not done separately and fixed. It is being sculpted on the stone from the down, like from foundation till top. The sculptures have done it. And another amazing part is that it is a Shiva temple. It is called Ramappa temple. It is called a Shiva temple. Shivalinga and Nandi both have been done in a proper proportion. Both stand for 9 feet high. Just imagine 9 feet high Lingam and 9 feet high Nandi. How big they are. You can't just see like this. You have to raise your head and see both of them. You can just imagine sculpting every minute details on the walls, the rock, and it is sculpted so you find elephants one side, horses in other side, celestial maidens there. The most beautiful one is a Nagakanya there. Each detail, even today we find it. We enjoy it. People say that there are many poets who got inspired by this temple and wrote books, even books on dance too. So, an inspiration, every monument is an inspiration for humankind. And such inspirations have been given to us by the great kings. This country enjoys such beautiful temples and especially temple architecture. we have to go and see, to take blessings from Lord, and also see the beautiful architecture on the walls, which are sculpted, not sculpted out and kept it, but sculpted right from the down to top. Let us have time, all of us go there and see it. Thank you. Namaste. Jai Hind. Vande Mataram. Dear friends, India had many forts. One such fort is the Rohat Fort, which is actually an invincible fort. Why so? It never came under the attack of any of the rulers. Many people don't know who has built it also, when it was built. But some of the things give you an idea that it was done in the 7th century AD. The fort is built on a hilltop. So you have to climb up and go into the fort. It is a tedious task, but it is built in a very big place, and it was really good buildings are within the place. It is a great monument. Hindu kings were ruling their time. It never got attacked, but it was always had deceit. People deceived and got into it. They say when Sher Shah Suri, when he lost to Humayun in Chennaur, because Sher Shah Suri is an Afghanistan chieftain. He came into India and he was ruling Chennaur and he lost to Humayun. So he did not have any place. So he was going along with his soldiers and he wanted somewhere foothold. So he requested the Hindu king who was in this fort to give him some place to live, him and his soldiers. The Hindu ruler, who was very kind, he allowed him and his soldiers to get in. But just see the deceit. He occupied the fort and he threw the Hindu king out. He asked him to get out. That's why you see inside some of the Islamic buildings too. The Indo-Islamic structures were also there. But then Sher Shah Suri did not live for long. He died, and before death he lost to Mughals. So the Mughals captured the fort, and then Mughal people started living there. You also see the local architectural influence, especially influence of Raja Man Singh, because after the Mughals have captured, it was Raja Man Singh who used to take care of all these affairs of Mughals. They say that when Sher Shah Suri was in the fort, nearly 10,000 soldiers were guarding this fort. So imagine such big fort it is. Today it stands as a real good monument. If we have patience and energy, we have to climb up and to go and see. There are many youngsters who climb up and go and see because it's a very good monument. We have to salute an unknown king who has made a fort on the hilltop. Just imagine he's looking beyond. That's why, because it was on a hilltop, nobody used to capture it. But Hindu kings fell for the deceit of Muslims. Thank you. Namaste. Jai Hind. Vande Mataram. There are many monuments, many buildings have been built with some purpose. But there are some buildings also built, monuments, we don't know for what they have built. Such one of this building is called Sher Mandal. Sher Mandal has been built in the 16th century by Sher Shah Suri. It stands on a hillock on an octagonal basement with 2 floors. It is not a mosque, it is not a mausoleum, it is not a tomb, it is not a tower. Till today nobody knows why Sher Shah Suri has built that. He just built it because he wanted to build something to show his power. This, as long as Sher Shah Suri was there, he started building many of the things, and he also built this. Humayun, who fought and won over Sher Shah Suri, got this tower also with him. But still it is called as Sher Mandal. They say initially Humayun's body, he was buried here till the tomb, Humayun tomb, the famous tomb in the banks of Yamuna is built. Humayun was here in Sher Mandal. After Humayun's body has been taken to shifted to Humayun tomb, since then this is just lying without any activity. It has not got importance anything. Like Humayun fell, even this monument too fell. Humayun is considered like a child. They say that he is a childlike person and he had not having proper qualifications to become an emperor. That's why he was exiled. He lost his father. Babur actually established in Delhi, but Humayun lost everything and he was exiled. Then Akbar came back and he took over the whole thing. So Sher Mandal, built by Sher Shah Suri, who came in, deceived many of the kings, who wanted to just show his supremacy. He has built Sher Mandal, but that Mandal today stands there still without any activity, but it is a monument, unknown monument they say, which has no... See, everything has a story. Here we would like to tell you that every monument had a story, why it is built, how it has been captured, how people got it. But this, why we are telling you the story is, Humayun fell here, his last journey went from here and he lost from here. Same thing Sher Shah Suri too. So, a monument built for no reason, it is still there as rock standing. Thank you. Namaste. Vande Mataram. Dear friends, Shah Jahan is a king with heart. He loved his wife Mumtaz Mahal. In fact, his marriage was a love marriage. Of course, he had other wives too, but Mumtaz, who was a far related cousin of him, he loved her and he married her. Mumtaz gave him 14 children. But when she was delivering the 14th child, she died. When they both were like lovebirds, and she requested Shah Jahan that how can their love be remembered by the whole world, because they were lovebirds. Remembering that, Shah Jahan built a beautiful monument which is called a signature of love as her tomb, and that is Taj Mahal. Taj Mahal is noted as one of the wonders of the world today. Stands there beautifully with white marble. So beautiful it is, the moment you go, your vibrations will be full of love. From far you can see Taj. But the moment we say monuments of India, the first monument that comes into your mind is Taj Mahal. I had a beautiful experience with Taj Mahal because when I was 5 years old, we were in the Agra fort. Whoever comes, I used to show them Taj Mahal through our window. If we open a window from our house, we can see Taj Mahal. I used to love Taj Mahal. Every time go stand near the window and gaze at Taj Mahal. But when you go out and see, it is 5 kilometers. But if you open the window, you can see Taj Mahal. When I grew up, I felt how Shah Jahan would have sat in that Burj and peeped at Taj Mahal for years together till his death. Because he is the one who built it. They say in building Taj Mahal, laborers, people have taken 22 years. From 1632 to 53-54, it completed. They say 22,000 people worked to complete Taj Mahal. There are, of course, stories also that Shah Jahan has cut the hands of the architect who has built this so that he will not build another Taj Mahal in the world. There are no such things anywhere written, but people do tell the stories. Taj Mahal has beautiful corridors. Of course, it houses the tombs of both Mumtaz Mahal and Shah Jahan today. But when you get into it, in the center you have Taj Mahal and you have two red stone entrances on the other sides. One is facing Mecca. They say the other one is called Jawab, just an identical one. But when you walk in the garden of Taj Mahal, towards Taj Mahal, it is so cool because it's made of marble. And the love vibration that goes around the Taj Mahal. Lakhs and lakhs of tourists come to India to just see Taj Mahal. Across the world, when I go and meet people, people say, we want to come and see Taj Mahal in India. So they all know about it. Please go just to see and enjoy the building which is being built to show the world how important love is. This is the first ever love signature monument which is built in India, and none other than Shah Jahan has built it. We should salute Shah Jahan for the marvelous monuments built in and around of Delhi, Agra and all. He was a great lover of art and architecture, and especially monuments he has built. And always they say even the spirit of Mumtaz Mahal lingers around in Taj Mahal. Beautiful songs you can experience once you go there. Everything, if you see carefully, you find the gemstones are studded on the minarets and also in the entrances on those domes too. See it, enjoy it and love it. Thank you. Namaste. Jai Hind. Vande Mataram. Dear friends, many things inspire and the monuments do inspire us. Poetry in stone is the temples of Mahabalipuram. It is said Mahabalipuram has been built by 3 monarchs. This is built by Pallava dynasty and kings Mahendra Varma, Narasimha Varma I and II. All the 3 of them have shown their artistic mind through stone. That's why you find 3 types, 3 styles there. You have rock stones there. If you get into Mahabalipuram, you see rathas carved on stone. You have a temple near the beach. They say there were 7 temples, such temples. They got immersed in the sea and 1 temple has come out. And we see 1 temple there. You have big rock caves like. Even today the stone carvings go on. The people do make the small stone carvings. Each thing is called a temple. The rathas are called temple. The Pandavas, Arjuna has meditated there and they show the place there as Arjuna's place of. We don't know that Pandavas have come down to south here to do their penance and do their pujas. Might be, but you find them. It is also called, they say that it reflects the Rajasthan style, but it got the name after Narasimha Varma, who is called as Mamallan, means a great wrestler. He was called Mahamallan. So from him, this is called Mahabalipuram. Mahabalipuram name has come because of Narasimha Varma. You have to only go and see and enjoy if you go there. They are rock cutting, not caves, but they are the statues, the sculpture and the temples. Each one give you a history that goes for centuries together. Just to go and see the temple which has been eaten up by the sea sand and it has come out so safely, and the other 6 temples are lying under the sea. Please come enjoy Mahabalipuram. Thank you. Namaste. Jai Hind. Vande Mataram. Dear friends, whomever you ask, where do you want to go and enjoy, everybody will say we would like to go to Goa, see Goa. But I have not heard anybody saying we would like to go and see in Goa. What? Everybody says beautiful beaches there, we enjoy the casinos there and all. But none of them have said that they want to go and see the temples of Goa. There are beautiful temples of Goa built many years ago. Though the Portuguese influence is there, but the temples today stand very fresh there because it is at the bank of Saraswati river, the divine river, and it is also on the Govantaka of Parshurama. They say that Krishna and Balarama visited Goa, which was called Govantaka those days, and took advice from Parshurama how to win over and get money to build Dwaraka. When I talk about temples of Goa, everybody will be having a big question mark. Yes, dear friends, there are big temples like Mangeshi temple is there, Shanta Durga temple, beautifully done. You have Ganapati temple, Mahalakshmi temple, Sri Nagesh Mathura temple, and Ananta temple, and there are various Sri Chandrashwar temple, and there are so many other temples. Each temple does not give you the old and old look, it gives you a new look, but they all are ancient temples. Each one has been maintained for tourism, but we should enjoy the temples of Goa. Not only beaches and casinos, but these are the monuments of Goa where you can go and see all these temples. Each one has its own history to tell. Thank you. Namaste. Jai Hind. Vande Mataram. An architectural marvel is Tughlaqabad Fort. Tughlaq dynasty was founded by Ghazi, the father of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Before becoming Delhi Sultan, he was actually a slave of Khilji's. The last Sultan of Khilji, he was a slave. So they say that once when Mubarak Khilji and Malik, his name that time, the elder Tughlaq's name was Malik, they both were walking on this stony place. While they were walking, he said, this whole site looks beautiful, why don't we build a fort on this? The last Sultan, the Khilji Sultan, laughed at this slave and he said, when you become a king, Sultan, you make the fort here. And he went. They both walked out. Afterwards, when really Malik became Sultan of Delhi and established Tughlaq dynasty, he really built a fort on the same place where he advised his king to build a fort. And he built it within 4 years. Big fort, but the fort fought a lot of battles. The moment if you see a fort, you can understand the valor of it. And Tughlaqs, you know the way they were fighting. Here we have to understand one thing. Malik, who was established Tughlaq dynasty, had a foresight. He could immediately visualize and say this place is good for fort. Not only a visionary, but he was also a practitioner and executor. The moment, because he was made, his advice was laughed at. And he kept that in mind. The moment he became king, first thing he did was to build this fort. So he has built it with vision. He said it with vision and he built it because he said it. Such great were the kings of those days. And today, it has no activity. It is in the ruins because people don't go, but it is in the old Delhi, and even today, Tughlaqabad Fort is considered as one of the monuments that stands there, a symbol of terror and valor. Thank you. Namaste. Jai Hind. Vande Mataram. Britishers did build many monuments in India. Our Parliament House is one among them. But we have a great monument built by them in Calcutta, Victoria Memorial. When Queen Victoria was 94 years old, Lord Curzon wanted to make a big hall, big monument for her. So he started building very costly. They say 25 millions of dollars has been spent in those days to build fully with marble. Lord Curzon started. They say that the marble was brought from Rajasthan in big trains. They say 17 miles train was built to bring the marble here. Later on, the railways have also done away with the charges. They have given free. The money was collected from the Indian chiefs, many princely states, and also the rich of India. Money was not a problem for Lord Curzon. He goes and asks, people used to give him. So a lot of money has been spent, and more than 80,000 kgs of marble has been used. They have used all the modern techniques also to assemble it, carve it and do it. Beautifully it is done. It took 15 years to complete. When it completed, all have come, but not Lord Curzon, because he was transferred from India to Britain. So he could not attend, but Edward VIII and also King Edward and King George V, when they have come, they came and they have seen the inaugural function of this great memorial. It is called Victoria Memorial, standing right in the center of Calcutta, beautifully done, lighted beautifully, and it has big halls and it stands there as Victoria Memorial. On the top, they say they have put an angel which moves with the wind. Whichever side the wind comes, it moves around. Beautiful memorial, which is Victoria Memorial. And I think that might be one of the, and it was completed after 15 years, and it was inaugurated on December 28, 1921. After that, many monuments were not built much because lot of freedom struggle and fights were going on. And independent India too has very few monuments built. So this might be the last monument before India became independent. Thank you. Namaste.